Hey everybody, lovely weather in New York City today. Yeah, I could really see why everybody's just leaving their beautiful home states to come to this shithole. Anyway, so today I wanted to talk a little bit about loyalty to shit jobs versus loyalty to your own kind of sense of pride and dignity, and how they're separate, and also when you should probably call it quits on a shit job. So I used to work at a place called Modell's Sporting Goods when I was 16, back in 2005. It was my first proper on-the-books job. Like not modding PlayStations for my friends or washing bikes. Fuck you. Or not washing bikes, for $1 a piece on my block. And I started off at $6 an hour, which sucked, but it was understandable. It was minimum wage, and at the time, I was pretty fucking useless. Like, I had no concept of the idea of how to deal with walk-in customers, or just, I was the kid that if somebody walked into the store and was confused, I would just stare at them because I didn't know what to do. I didn't have any concept of, let's find out what the general goal is of the facility I'm in and try to work towards making this happen, kind of thing. And I needed a manager to literally point at me and say at any given time exactly what I should be doing. And I sucked. Like most people who have no work experience do. But as time went on, I figured maybe it'll get better. I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do. I'm going to put in a lot of hard work and effort. I'm going to figure out what the metrics are. I'm going to exceed them, and I'm going to, somebody's going to notice. So one of the problems that this Modell's had, since it was a small Modell's, was there wasn't a lot of space to put out merchandise, and also the stockroom was small, so crap would overflow into the aisle. Like the hockey aisle at this Modell's was almost always filled with shit. The hockey aisle and I believe the swimming aisle or something like that. I think it was hockey and swimming, but always be filled with boxes. You couldn't walk through it. So I figured if I can find a way to get all this merchandise out in the shelves, while not going too far against the standards, maybe there'll be more sales. Because A, people would walk into the hockey and swimming aisle, but more importantly, the merchandise that is out on the floor typically sells much better than merchandise in a box at a stockroom. So I did, and sales went up. Not by a lot. It was like $3,000 a month, $5,000 a month, $6,000 a month. It was slow and steady progression, but I saw that sales were going up. Now, at some point after about 5 or 6 months working there, I said I was working with this guy named Anthony, and he talked like this, bro. Holy shit, bro. If you had a fucking caricature, bro, of this fucking pothead from Staten Island, bro, this would be him, bro. Holy shit, bro. I'm so fucking down, bro. And he was a nice guy. He was a nice guy for the complete and utter stoner that he was. But he did jack shit. And he would brag about the fact that he was doing jack shit. Because he's like, yeah, pay me fucking $6 an hour, bro. You get what you pay for, bro. And I agree. Fuck you. Suck a dick. Oh my god. I need to get a horn on this bike so I can honk back. Anyway, he was getting paid $6 an hour. So he would do shit work. Which, again, is completely understandable for the fact that you're getting paid kind of shit. I understand the attitude, I should say, not I understand the thing. And the thing is, at some point, about 5 or 6 months in, I realized that I am putting in a ridiculous amount of effort to try to do the best job possible, try to get all the stock out on the shelves, make sure that there's no boxes in the aisles, that if it's in the stock room, it's on the floor, so people would be able to buy it. Because, if something goes out of stock and then you got to and somebody alerts you to it and you got to go to the stockroom to get it, how many sales did you lose because that shit wasn't out on the floor? I put in a lot of effort to do this stuff. I wasn't the best employee in the world. I was like any minimum wage employee. I'm sure there's shit that I slacked on. But what I needed was to see that there was a difference between the effort that I put in and the effort that he put in. And it wasn't going to take a lot. Literally, if you had given me $1, that would have done it. $1 extra. So if I had made, let's say, $7 an hour instead of $6, I mean, it sounds silly, but at the time, that actually would have done something for me. That would have been essentially a recognition, even if it came out to enough money to buy a fucking Subway sandwich every day. It would have been a recognition that the work that I put in had a sense of value. And we never got it. I got you got a standard union raise of 17, I think it was 17.5 fucking cents. That's what they gave you. Yeah, you get 17.5 cents. And, 1 second. busy intersection. And here's the problem. If I actually drive the speed limit, people will lose their shit. So right now I'm going 25 miles an hour. Look to my right. You see that to my right? You see that? For all those people in that last video, like, why aren't you driving the speed limit? If you drive the speed limit in New York City, people will cut you off and get pissed off at you. That's the way it works here. Right, I'm just gonna go on the side of the road since I was stupid enough to actually drive the speed limit. Fucking silly me. Wait for everybody to pass, go back on the road. So, legitimately, anything that showed that the work that I was doing was valued more than somebody who made it his stated goal to do nothing would have been enough. I never got it. And I started to wonder at some point, like, why am I putting this effort in? So another thing that would happen at this place was that certain items would not have a SKU on them. You know, the barcode would get ripped off, or let's say an item would get tossed under a gondola, or it would get, you know, somehow in the busy process of having a bunch of minimum wage people put out way too much stock from way too many boxes, it'd lose a barcode, and somebody would pick it up and they want to buy it. But how do you ring it up? You'd have to know what it is. And they had this antiquated shit 1980s looking computer system where everything was abbreviated to like 4 to 6 characters. No description of the item, no picture. I think that a Magento 1.9 site is antiquated right now. Oh my god, that is like future compared. That is Jetsons compared to the shit that they had. And if you wanted to tell what the item was, you'd have to do a lot of fucking guessing. You have to, like, they would say you could call up the main office and ask them, which is essentially waiting an hour and a half on hold to get somebody who pretty much tells you just guess and figure it out yourself, which is the standard bureaucratic answer, but total bullshit. So I'd have to put a lot of work into figuring out what it is. You know, Google the abbreviations, look things up, call the original company and ask them what their SKUs were, or for shit if I can't tell which product it is. And this is a lot of work to make sure that inventory is perfectly accurate and that I'm not selling a $9.99 item for $7.99, because there we do that. And at some point, at the second time I had asked for my raise about a year in, again I said I am looking for essentially $1 for every $5,000 of value I add to the department. Pretty much it. Not a lot. Or maybe some sort of management position or something. They still like, nope, not even close. Like, I'm not even going to pass this up the chain. It's just not even remotely close. We're not going to tie any sort of increase in sales to increase in pay. And at this point, I said, okay, you know what? Why am I staying late for this? Because I get in trouble if I stay late. If I stay late, they're like, why are you punching out late? Because, again, might have to pay me an extra fucking $2. Can't have that. I wonder, why am I staying late? So if somebody is picking up, let's say a bunch of golf clubs, am I really going to put the effort in to figure out if this SKU is for 1 golf club or for 10 golf clubs? Not really. So at some point, I'm fairly certain I was ringing up $500 worth of merchandise for like $19, because why am I going to put time out of my day, stay late to figure out why there's not a SKU on it, when I'm going to get yelled at for staying late and punching out late at a job that doesn't value anything that I do. So I did the stupid thing at that point, which is after the last time, about 13 or 14 months in, I put in my 2 weeks notice. And I thought, I was going to quit because I actually found another job at Good Temps. This was a high roller job. This is $12 an hour. I was like, back in 2006, to be a kid that just graduated high school making $12 an hour in the suburb, damn, that was sweet. Yeah, I would have came home with like $1,000 or $1,200 a month. Might have even been able to rent my own shitty $800 apartment, have some leftover food. That was, again, for a kid that's good. That was sweet money. At least like the idea of just being free from making like $300 or $400 a month. I felt like a high roller. So I was gonna quit immediately. And I did the stupid ass thing because I thought, I should be loyal to the job that paid me. I should be loyal. I should do the proper thing and do things through the proper channels and give my 2 weeks notice. And here's the problem when you care about a company that doesn't care about you. Now, I missed out on getting some pay from the new job. But in spite of, so there was this one day where I was there, and this manager, John something, I forget his name, he was younger than all the other managers, and the Models had you wear a polyester jersey. And the problem was that the air conditioning in the store died, and this was at the end of June in 2006, boiling hot summer, and you had to wear a polyester jersey. And there was no air conditioning, and also this Models, I think it had an aluminum roof or aluminum ceiling or something like that. I forget exactly what it was, but it made the place really, really hot if there was no air conditioning. So I took off my jersey, I kept on the name tag, and every time customers walked into town, how can I help you? What can I do for you? What can I get for you? What are you looking for? And I would still treat them with respect and everything. I was wearing, I think, a plain black T-shirt with my Modell's name tag, and the manager said, put this on. And I said, well, there's no air conditioning. Same dude that was like, I'm not even going to remotely consider passing up the chain the concept of getting a raise for adding to the company sales. And he's like, no, you got to put this on. Like, stop being a bitch. Stop being a pussy. Put this on. You need to put this on. And I took the fucking thing off. I tossed it at him, and I quit with no notice. The thing is, do you think that they appreciated that I put my 2 weeks notice in rather than quitting immediately? Do you think they appreciate that I agreed to take a truck shift, which is the shittiest one because you get the same pay to have to unpack an entire fucking truck of expensive, heavy exercise gear and shit? No! They didn't give a fuck. And this is the problem that I have, is that I notice that so many people give a shit about jobs and people that don't care about them. That don't care one bit what happens to them. I'm speaking with somebody right now who's probably watching this video, who gave their several weeks notice at a job that treated them like shit, because that's the right thing to do. And when they did that, they're all acting pissed. Like, I can't believe that you quit. Yeah, I can't believe that you quit. Oh, it's gonna be nicer in this room when you're not here anymore. That kind of like snide-ass kind of comments. And you gotta wonder to yourself, why? Now, there's a difference between being loyal to the job and being loyal to your own dignity. So what do I mean by that? Well, there are lots of places I've walked into where people actually do their jobs like shit, to a manner where they represent themselves poorly. A customer that was buying a bunch of golf clubs that probably got rung up for one golf club because I didn't give a shit to stay an extra half an hour to look up a fucking SKU, when doing that was actually going to get me yelled at, he doesn't see me as incompetent. In fact, I'm sure he probably sees me as... He's probably quite happy with his discount set of golf clubs there. But I was always polite and courteous with customers. But the reason that it's important for me to have quit when I did is I never wanted to stop representing myself as a competent person or as somebody who was polite to the people walking in because I hated my job. I never wanted that resentment for the fact that I was not valued for what I did to transfer over to where I did not do my job properly to the customer. Like, if a customer walked in, I'm ignoring them. Or if a customer walks in, I treat them like shit, or I have an attitude with them, or I'm just generally pissed off that they exist. And that's the place that you go when you stay at a place that treats you like shit. And I really don't think that these places are owed anything like that. I think that, this idea that your job is owed 2 weeks notice, or you're owed certain elements of professionalism, I do think that they do indeed need to pay for it. And one thing that confuses people here is that I'm not a proponent of a high minimum wage, but at the same time, I'm an absolute proponent of employers getting exactly what they pay for. Had I started my other job sooner, I would have had more money. And do you think, now here's the other thing that's interesting to me, is that the managers there are like, well, if you quit with no notice, this is going to follow you. It's going to be really difficult, if at all, to get a job ever again. Yeah, that's just going to hurt you. And it's really interesting looking back at this, 13 years later. Not only did I get a better job, not only do I have my own store, but the lowest paid employee at my store, the lowest paid, like 18-year-old, just got out of high school, doing a basic job with no experience, makes 30% more money than the department managers at that fucking Modell Sporting Goods. And I think it's important to give people that message, because I think people are stuck in this concept that they need to be very nice and kind and courteous as shitty employers, when that is not quite the case. The employer gets what they pay for out of the employee. If they would like to pay shit, that is their right. But what they get when they pay shit is also the consequence of their decision making. Now, I'm not saying that you act like shit to the customer. That's the thing. You know, if you don't like the fact that if you don't like what you get at the post office, do not lose all of my packages and then lie about it for several weeks. Quit and go to work for UPS or FedEx or a private delivery company. But don't dishonor the craft of what you're doing. Don't dishonor yourself by going in every day and doing complete jack shit work. Because the thing is, there's another job out there, there's another industry out there that is waiting for you, that appreciates you, that is going to be very, very happy when you increase their monthly sales by $5,000 or $10,000 and will pay you for it. The problem is if you stay at the job that you have because you don't think it's out there, you're never going to find it. And it's hard, you know. Well, how do I know that it's out there? You got to look. And here's the problem that I had. The more I would go out and actually look for other jobs and not get them, the more depressed I was actually becoming, because I started to believe that I was myself worthless. Because the thing is, if I sit there and say I'm not getting paid enough, I could just sit there on my high horse and think, well, I'm not getting paid enough, I'm good. They just don't want to pay me. But if I actually go out there and I look for a job and it takes me 6 months to find one, that is absolutely grueling. Like, that is grueling on the ego, grueling on the self-confidence. And it actually did start to make me depressed after a while, and it started to become its own incentive to not look for another job, but rather stay at my current job and do it in a nihilist fashion because I was getting paid like shit. I kind of wonder how many other people out there are in a job that they really, really hate, but they don't look for another job because they're actually secretly afraid that they're only worth what their current job is paying them. And it's a vicious cycle, because if you only believe you're worth that much, then you're probably going to stop looking for other work, but it's also going to keep you from finding the people that actually appreciate the fact that you add value to the bottom line of their company. And it's something that, you know, when people comment and say, I really like to work for you, you seem like a really nice guy, it's something that I push back on a lot in my own YouTube comments. I'm really not. You know, people think, well, you give your employees a raise if you see them doing a good job, or you give them a bonus, or if your employee gets hit by a truck, you say, here, you get 3 to 6 months of full paid salary, and I'll pay for your attorney and fine you and screw up the trucking company and all that. You're such a nice guy, and I'm really not. The thing is, when there's a SKU missing on a product in my store, is my employee going to be the type of person that wants to stay a little later just so that I don't get fucked? Or is he going to ring up a customer for a single golf club when he buys an entire fucking golf set because he doesn't feel like dealing with some shitty 1980s abbreviated SKU system? It's not me being nice. It's something that I think people should notice. It's not me being nice because I'm a good person. I'm not a great person. I'm not even a good person. I'm kind of a piece of shit. The thing is that I'm essentially paying for what I would like to receive. I could pay somebody like shit. Like, my employee that got hit by the fucking truck, the other job that he's working for, I'm not kidding when I say that he told them, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to make it in, I got hit by a truck. His fucking boss says, I can't believe that you didn't give us good notice. It's like, motherfucker, I got hit by a truck. But I forget where I was there. But the point is, I'm not a good person. I'm not a great person. I'm not a nice person. I'm not a charitable person. I'm a person that would like to receive what he pays for. And if I pay you that way, if I tell you when you're hit by a truck, you're fucking fired because you didn't give me any notice, you piece of shit, then what the fuck can I expect out of you? And what the fuck can I expect out of the other people that work with me? What can I ask them for? What can I reasonably ask them for? Because I believe that if you're asking for something, you need to essentially be providing value to get value back. How can I ask for value out of people if you treat them like shit? It doesn't work. You know, one of the examples I like to use, there was that one time that I got a fine for not having a license number on a receipt in 2012. I shared that blog post in my video on what pisses me off about New York City real estate recently. But there's another video. No, not another video. There's another time this happened around 2015, I believe, 14 or 15. Somebody here pretends that they're getting a phone call when the inspector's there. He pretends to be looking up their ticket while he's talking on the phone with somebody who's not actually there, so that he can edit the POS system in Repair Shopper so that it says the license number when he goes to print out a receipt. Now, am I going to get that type of dedication from somebody that I pay the bare fucking minimum? No. And what's going to happen when I have an employee that's not that dedicated, that doesn't do that? I'm going to get hit with another $1,000 fucking fine from the city. And there are many things like that. There are many areas where you would get owned, absolutely owned. There's so many ways that your business can lose money based on people not paying attention to shit like that. And it adds up. Now, I don't even have to, here's the thing, I don't even have to ask that of my staff. I don't have to ask them to pretend to be on the phone so that they can, add a license number to a receipt to print it out so that the inspector doesn't fuck me over. I don't even have to ask that. But when you treat people like human beings, the thing that happens is that in return, they just do it because they feel an obligation to, or they feel like you deserve it. And I'm just kind of wondering if more companies did this, because again, I think that it's wrong to treat this as altruism, because altruism is something that people don't believe will actually make money. People, many believe that altruism is charity, the sake of giving without getting. And if you believe that, then I don't think that you're going to make decisions to be good based on when you run a for-profit company. However, if you frame it in a way where doing the right thing actually is more profitable in the long term, I think we would see as businesses start treating people in that way. And the reason that it really aggravates me when people say, Lewis, you're a good person, you're a nice person, wow, you treat people nicely, is because they because by framing it that way, you're framing it to where it's not sustainable, where it's not something that can be accomplished by other businesses, by other companies, by publicly traded companies. And I genuinely believe that it can be accomplished by them, and that you can continuously get growth, you can continuously grow your business, you can, in the long run, make more money by not treating people like total shit. And it doesn't take much. It really doesn't take much. Again, when I was a kid, you give me an extra $1 an hour, I probably would have been so happy with that little extra $1. Just the symbolic effect of you acknowledging that I did something good. I probably would have made that company an additional $20,000 a month. I'm not the smartest person in the world, but I'm pretty decent when it comes to running a store. I mean, if I could run there were another 3 places that do exactly what I do within a quarter-mile radius of me. When I moved here, they're all gone, out of business. My sales are up. I'm pretty sure I could have done a good job adding to the sales of that place in that little podunk small part of Staten Island, but I didn't. Would it have been better for the company? Would they have made more in the long run? I think so. But we live in a short-sighted world nowadays. And it's kind of sad. We're almost to work. I was close to renting a store on this block. It was $1,700 back in 2011. It's funny. The guy goes, it's very funny. It was much smaller than my current space. I'm not kidding when I say this is probably 150 to 200 square feet. And it was about $1,500, $1,700. Thank God I didn't rent it. Thank God I didn't rent it. Because the guy said, you're not going to find a better deal per square foot than this. And 3 blocks down, I find my store. And, people think that 650 square feet is bad. Can you imagine 13 people in 150 square feet? So I walk by and I see a haircut place and I figure I need to get a haircut. And I tell the guy, wow, you did amazing things at this place. I know what this looked like before. It had this over there and this slat wall over there. And he says, oh, you knew what it looked like? I'm like, yeah, I was looking to rent it. It was a great deal. It was only like $1,700. It's just they found another place a few blocks away and it was much bigger. So I just didn't take it. And the guy stops cutting my hair and he gets this really angry look on his little face. And I go, oh, what's up? And he goes, I pay $3,000. It's like, oh, Well, looks like somebody sucks at bargaining even more than me. Kind of made me sad. I don't think he put the best effort into that haircut. I mean, he should have, because, you know, would have needed the tip money to pay $3,000 a month for his fucking closet. Oh, such is life, such is life. Let's see what it looks like here today. Hello. I'm sorry. Hello. Hello, Paul. Hello, Eli. Thank you for the pickles. I appreciate it. I love pickles. I just don't have any food to put it on at the moment.